Hi everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we have a special request from a subscriber called Caroline. She's a recent newcomer to film photography and she has got herself one of these Konica Auto-Reflex TC cameras, and following shooting her first couple of rolls she thinks she has a problem with the light seals. So today we're going to discuss how to check light seals and also how to change the light seals and renew them on this camera. So the first thing we're going to do is remove the lens. On this camera you push in on this button, turn anti-clockwise, twist, and off the lens comes. This one's got a 135 3.5, yeah, 135 3.5 on it. So here we see the camera. So she's been getting light seals, she thinks, on her film. The film goes in the back here. So let's open the back up, little catch at the bottom. That opens up the back. And if I zoom you in, we'll be able to take a look at where the light seals are, and we'll be able to take a look at them. And if you look there across the top here, you can see that there's a channel. If I sort of point this towards the light, you can see that there's a channel. You can get the torch, wherever the torch is, and then we can have a closer look at that. This is a bright LED torch, and you can see in there, if this will focus on it, there we go, you can see this ridge along the top here. You can see the foam in there and it's looking a bit mouldy and a bit crusty. There's also a stretch down this side here, which doesn't look too bad actually, and then across this rail at the bottom looks really bad. There you go, you can see that quite clearly. It's not looking its best, it's missing in places, etc, etc. That's where the back door is going to sit. So I move that down there. If you feel along these edges, you can usually feel the remnants of it. What happens with age is that the rubber that they used, we can definitely feel it across the top of that. The rubber that they use deteriorates. Try and get the light in there and get it to focus. You can see the remnants of the foam across the top of the door there. That isn't where the foam was originally attached, that's where it's just got horrible and gunky. And it started to stick to the top of the door. Shouldn't be any foam on the top of the door. There might be a little bit along this edge as well, so we need to clean that off. But that's the main light seal areas, is this there'll be a strip along this side normally, across the bottom edge here, and across the top here. This is a 35mm SLR, but it's pretty similar on most cameras. That you can see on this one it's not particularly good. Now don't forget, I recommend when you first get a camera and you put a roll of film in it, expose the first couple of rolls normally with the back as it is, and then if you get some black tape, this is electrical tape widely available in a whole variety of stores. I think I got this from Asda Walmart. You can see it's quite a strong tape. Just tape over this back door. Once you've taken, say, the first 5 shots, just put some tape across the doors, down this side, across the bottom here. Carry on and shoot the rest of the roll. At least if you do have light leaks, it won't affect the whole roll, it will only affect the first 5. If when you get the film developed there's no problems, then you know that your light seals are in pretty good order. So yeah, always handy to have a roll of thick black tape, just to make sure the camera is light proof. The other place where you'll find foams that are easily accessible, because they're not all easily accessible, get the camera to focus. You can't really see this even if I bring the lamp right the way in. Oh. You also see foams up in here. I'll get my pointy stick. There's usually a bit of foam across the top here, and this acts as a bumper for the mirror. When the mirror comes up, there's usually a piece of foam across here that also deteriorates, and you'll know that because you'll see on the bottom of the mirror, you'll see that black residue. And when it starts deteriorating and going sticky, it will start to stick. In the worst case I've seen, it actually makes the mirror stay up. The mirror, when it hits, it just sticks up. But on this camera you've also got them around the viewfinder, the screen, the focusing screen. You can see there's some deteriorating foam along here. Along the back you can see it as well. I'll get the camera to focus, that's better. You can see the white dots. Trying to lean over this phone and get in here is quite difficult. There we go, along the bottom of there's also deteriorating foam, and up along this side, along here. We're not really that concerned about those. I'm not going to touch those ones today because I think we'd have to strip the camera down a lot further than I'd want to. The light's bringing the bugs. Go away, I don't want bugs in there. So today we're mainly going to concentrate on these back ones. Those ones shouldn't affect the film itself, because when they take the picture the mirror's going to flip up out of the way. Just demonstrate that, wind on. You see the mirror flips up out of the way, so that shouldn't be a problem. So with the back open, ideally what you want to do is you want to remove this gunky mess that's in here. I'll just run this along. If you like to, you can also put some sort of protection over the shutter, because you don't really want to be touching that and you don't want any nasty stickiness going into it. But yeah, ideally you want to remove what's already in there, and you can use lighter fluid, or I would imagine methylated spirits would work as well, just to remove what is in there. And to be honest, there isn't an awful lot left to get out. What you will need is some foam strips to replace it, and on the ever wonderful eBay you can find people who sell you these sort of strips cut to size. These are laser cut strips, so these are actually made for replacing these. You can buy packs with all different size materials in them. Some people even do kits for cameras, although that's quite an expensive way of buying them. But you can see in here there's different thicknesses and different kind of stiffnesses of foams that you can buy to cut up and replace the foams that you're doing. Today I think we're going to be just using, I've got some of these strips left still, if I can pick them up. I tend to buy these ones that are already pre-cut, they're a lot easier. You can use, say, a guillotine to make your own. You just want something this sort of size, you don't really want something that's too big. These ones are better because they are actually laser cut rather than guillotine cut. And they don't have a peel-off stick-on side on them, but because there's residue left in there that's sticky, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reuse that to stick this stuff down. A pair of scissors. And say for cleaning you could try methylated spirits. I also quite like lighter fluid, but just make sure you don't get it all over the shutter and everything. The shutter needs to be quite well protected. Maybe put a bit of card over it and stick it down with some tape. Maybe that's the solution to that. So looking at this, let me get this in the frame. Looking at the take the glasses off so I can see what I'm doing. So looking here, there isn't an awful lot of this sticky mess left, to be honest. The bottom one's very easy to do. There's no real problem with the bottom one. That bit up there is actually a bit of foam across the back of the door here as well on this end. But this top one, when you get across somewhere, you will find that there's usually a little lever. And on this TC, I don't know if you can see it. This is even on the maximum zoom. You see this little lever here? This is what tells the camera when the back door's open and resets the counter. So you don't want to put the foam over there. You want to cut it up till that and then cut a little piece to go after it. You want that lever to be working so that when you open the door, the film counter will reset, goes back to the start. So what I like to do is I take a length of this stuff. I think I've got some of it that's already out. I need some scissors, preferably a nice sharp pair of scissors. There's a bit on the big side, but any sort of scissors will do. Those are a little bit big. And you want some kind of pokey stick. I tend to use wood or plastic, like this plastic pokey tool. Oh, just dropped on the floor, you know me, everything ends up on the floor. So there's our light shining down. So what I do is I take this, and you'll notice that it's kind of thinner on one side and slightly thicker on the other. And all you have to do is to gently start at one end. So I'll start up at this end, and you just feed it into there. A bit of its guesstimation, really. It does tend to twist when you push it in. That's the only problem, is to keep it flat. So it does help to have steady hands and good eyesight. I always like to do it a bit longer than what you think you're going to need. And then yeah, you just feed it into that channel. Just poke it into the channel like so. You may be thinking, oh, that's going to make it so that the door is not tight enough. And you can see it does deform, so it will adapt to having the door back closed on it. And then yeah, you just, twisting is the biggest problem. If you can find the right tool, see that's twisted there now. You can keep it flat, and then you can just go all the way along until you get to that little button keeping the door, or for resetting the frame counter. And yeah, you just poke that along like so, so it fits in. So yeah, that's quite an easy job to do. It's not too fiddly. When you get into starting to strip the camera down and do the internal seals, a lot of SLRs have this sort of foam padding around the prism at the top here. They're quite tricky to do because you've got to take the top cover off. So I might cover that in another video. I've got a few Olympuses that I've got in pieces that have had that done to them. The foam can mark the prisms. If you pick up a camera and you see it's got markings in the prism, it's where the foam is starting to deteriorate the mirror finish of the prism. It doesn't affect the picture taking, but it does make the viewfinder quite ugly, and it doesn't get better. These cameras were never designed to be still in use this late on. You know, they were consumer products. You know, the sort of cameras really are the ones where you don't need the foams. Some of the early cameras in the 50s and that, before foam was really invented, those don't use foam, and they're probably a better long-term bet. And then when you get to the end where that little lever is, you just have to guesstimate, and then you just got I've got a bigger pair of scissors if I tried. You just snip that off. Make sure you're still in the frame, and then yeah, you just have to ease that into there, making sure that lever's still around, and then yeah, you just poke that in there, and then at this end, up this end, it's a little bit long, so we just have to trim the end of that off, and then we can just. And the stickiness of the material that's left underneath actually will hold it in place. It's not really going to go anywhere. If you're trying to bring the camera up to A++ collector's condition, then yeah, make sure you take all the old stuff out first. But this is just to make the camera functional, and it improves the aesthetics of it as well. It's making it light proof. So there you can see I've done the top one. It's got the new foam in there. So I'll do the same with the bottom. Keep all these little odd bits because you can use those for the bit at the end, etc. So I've got another one of those somewhere kicking about here. Here's another one. They're not that expensive. I think this whole pack of foams was a couple of pounds, I say. less than $4. Cleaning this part out, you can use Q-tips or cotton swabs, these sort of things, with some lighter fuel or some meths, and you can just clean this out, but make sure you do cover over this. You don't want anything getting in the shutter. You know, the shutter is the heart of the camera really. If the shutter's no good, then they're not very easy to change and not particularly easy to fix. So we can start at this end and we can make sure that's in the frame. Quite nice cameras, these Konikas. Remember, they're shutter priority cameras, so you set the shutter speed and the camera will set the corresponding aperture. It uses a 1.35 volt battery, so you can either use a wean cell or a 1.5 volt battery. You might need to adjust the ASA a little bit or use an adapter that knocks the voltage down. And yeah, you just feed that in there, starting at the end. And just gently work your way along, making sure it doesn't get twisted. You just want it to sit in there. Like so. And just ease it in. You can see the size of it. It's about, I don't know, 2 or 3 mil wide by, let's say, a mil narrower. These bits can be quite tricky where there's a bend, but you just have to do it slowly. Take your time. I'm kind of rushing because I don't want it to be a long video. And we're talking about videos. I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting really sick of all these adverts mid-video on YouTube at the moment. Some of these guys that I'm following, they've got sort of videos every couple of minutes. So just as you're getting into a video and it reaches something that you're interested in, it cuts to a couple of minutes of videos. And you can see there I've twisted it, so that's not good. So pull that up. I don't think this channel's ever going to be monetized because the way things are going, I just can't see the point. I'm not going to have a Patreon account or anything like that. This is just a hobby for me. It's not a business. I just do it because I enjoy messing about with cameras and taking pictures, and just for the fun of it. So there's never going to be a sponsor. It's never going to be any Squarespace or Ridge wallets or any of that sort of stuff. I'm not interested in that. I've had a few people come to me saying, "Oh, can you sponsor this?" Mainly toy manufacturers from Japan. It's like, really? I'm not really interested in that. I'm interested in helping mainly young people. You know, anybody who was born after the year 2000, I think they call them millennials in modern speak. You know, they probably don't remember film photography. You know, I remember all the way back to the 60s with film photography because I'm old with shaky hands. See, that is starting to twist a bit there again. So I say corners are a bit of a pain. You could cut it, I suppose, if you wanted to do it really, really well. I'm not a perfectionist. I'd rather get the camera working than have it absolutely collectors. You've seen my cameras, some of them are in good condition, but a lot of them are just usable. I never sell any of these cameras, by the way. I don't buy cameras and then make a video and sell them. They're all in the collection. It's a real tough decision, like what camera should I shoot today or this week or whatever. I'm really enjoying the Pentax 645 at the moment. It's sort of auto exposure, auto wind on, 15 shots on medium format. It's a pretty good camera. I quite enjoy that. And it's reasonably, I don't like the word cheap, it's affordable. You know, I'm not one of those people who buys an RZ and buys some Portra and overexposed by 2 stops, and that's not my style at all. I can't imagine carrying an RZ around. I'm looking to get a Pentax 6.7, but that's only because I can share the lenses between that and the 645. Right, I'll get down to that bit there. We just snip the end of that off. There's no, you can do that in one go, that bit across the bottom. There's no little bit that you've got to watch out for. I do need a little bit for up in that corner, so So one of these little bits that I had left over, I can find my tweezers wherever they are. Ooh. Oh, I don't know where the tweezers have disappeared to. Can't find my pointy tweezers, but I have got these ones. So that bit, that has to go into this. Have a look on the viewfinder, see if you can see what I'm talking about. That has to go just on the end here between that button and that part there. There is a strip along here, but it doesn't actually look too bad. It's not all rotten and deteriorated, which makes me think somebody's already replaced that previously. So I'm going to leave that one. I believe we're making it as easy as possible. I just want a little bit to go around that corner. That is really small in there. So my big sausage fingers, I'll see if I can get this in there. Blimey, it's tiny, isn't it? Maybe even that little bit there would be enough for that. Oh, you need good eyesight, a lot of patience. Small fingers. That's going in the wrong way round. So yeah, comments, questions, queries, etc. down below. Anything you want to see, please just ask. I like making videos that are specific to what people have requested. It gets a bit boring just going through cameras all the time. I need to start doing the lenses and the flash. I enjoyed the rotary processing. I think I got quite good results with that using the CPE processor. I plan on doing more of that. It's about technique and what have you, then yeah, sure, I don't mind making videos. The photographs from the macro in the garden thing, I've decided to post those on Instagram. I've put some up already. I will post some more on there. I don't really see the point of making a video with images on, just with images on it. I should incorporate them into the video at the same time, but I'm not one for film editing. You can see these are all done in one take, and you see everything. You see the good bits and you see the bodge jobs as well. So it's real world. It's not perfect, but it does the job, hopefully. So as I said, if I come back around this camera, oh, my back's playing me up. You can see this strip along here. Doesn't look too bad, but again, you can replace it with foam. You can see the kind of size that it is along that section. And on this back end of the door here, there is a strip along here that might well need replacing. Have a closer look at it. Yeah, I think we might have to replace that, so we might put a strip of foam along there, and for that I'm going to use some sticky back plastic, for those of you that remember Blue Peter. So we just have to measure it to the size and the width, and we just cut a section off, try and keep it straight as best we can. And this is going to go across the back of this door here, like so. So we can peel off the sticky back plastic. This has a sticky side on it, and then this is quite an easy one to do. You just have to stick it on. You probably can't see that because of where the camera is. Oh, you can see here I've got a bit of foam. I'm just going to put my bit of foam across there. Rather bodged, but there we go. We'll stick that down onto there. So the bit on the inside is okay. Now that should make the camera light proof. So let's see if we can close the back up. This back on this camera doesn't close particularly well because it's got some damage to the door on this corner here. You can see on this corner it's bent out a little bit there, so we need to bend that back in. Obviously suffered a bit. Oh, that's when they made cameras out of metal, not plastic. There we go, that shuts better. So yeah, nice cameras. The battery goes in the bottom. It's a mechanical camera. The shutter is mechanical, so you can use it Sunny 16, or you can use an app on your phone. Not saying the meters on these are unreliable, but it's good practice, I think, to use an external meter. The whole point about it is eventually you shouldn't need a meter. You should, if you do it long enough, you should be able to go outside, look at the weather and say exactly 100 ASA, that's going to be 125th at f8. You should learn that. The meter's only a guide. You can play around with the ISO or the speed of your film. Just because it says it's 400, you don't have to shoot it at 400. You can pull a film which is dropping it down to say 50 or 25, or you can increase it. You can say rate a 400 film at 800 or 1600. It's probably better to push a lower rated film because of the grain. When you push a film, you do get a lot more grain. So yeah, mechanical shutter, and you can select the aperture on the lens. I say to mount a lens on these, it's red dot to red dot. It says, give it a twist clockwise, zoom you back out again. Right, we're already at 26 minutes, that's too long. So there we are, that's the back done, it's nice and secure. It opens. Can we get a film to stay in there, or does it give me issues? Here's an old one. Remember the good old days of Kodachrome 64? The best slide film there ever was. So your film goes in. Oop. The film would sit in there. Just catching these is at the bottom. The door is still giving me problems, isn't it? That's not related to the foam, that's related to the back of the there we go. So yeah, I can get a film in it. The door shuts, and you can probably see on there now where this has gone in, and this just helps sort of consolidate the foam in those slots. So there you go, folks. Probably a film that doesn't apply to most of you, but I hope you find that useful, Caroline. And yeah, congratulations on buying quite a nice camera. Very affordable. Lenses are really affordable and very nice. And yeah, any issues, come back to me. Thanks for watching. All that usual YouTubey stuff, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.